Hey guys, it's your boy M.K.S here, back again with another video. This morning I was really tired, as I mentioned in part one, and I decided, just for sanity's sake or whatever, just to be sure, I took a COVID test just in case. I have these conspiracy theories about COVID, but I won't get into that. But yeah, I took a test just in case. So good news. I hope I did it right. But yeah, it's not been void. So I've done a home test and I've been found negative for COVID. So I just thought I'd mention it anyway, but I've got a bit of a headache, so it's probably just a headache, to be fair. So I'm sure I did all the processes right. With my dyslexia and dyspraxia, I do struggle to focus. That was a bit off topic, I know, but anyway, I thought I'd mention that. Another thing I want to say in the intro before I start my list is this Asian alliance or unity or network or whatever you want to call it, Asian Union, which would work as an alliance and a cooperative and a network and whatever, basically a group of people who work together on shared goals to benefit all possible nations within Asia and Asia itself. I hope for, I mentioned in point number 4, part 1, point number 4, that I hope for them to work on conflict resolution and bring those nations together, or Asian nations together. But also I would love for them to work together against any form of attempted invasion, division, terrorism, crime, or anything like that, so they can work together on those things like intelligence services that work together, spy agencies or whatever you want to call them, to work together excuse me, on preventing those sort of things, like if European or American or nations from the Americas or even America itself perhaps, or Europe or anywhere else, dare I say, tries to invade an Asian nation, the Asian nations could come together and basically tell them to back off, to put it politely, so that they would stop any Asian nation, hopefully, from being invaded by not just by each other, but by people from outside of Asia, but also each other, and prevent crime and terrorism and things like that. But generally, obviously, terrorism is a form of crime, so they could work together, like, say, for instance, especially like countries like Malaysia, India, Indonesia, and Singapore. I hope for my fellow Eurasians also to work on security and spying and in a positive way, like intelligence agencies, so they can prevent any terrorist attacks as much as possible, or at least limit them as much as possible. Obviously, prevent as many and limit as many as possible. So that's another thing I hope for them to do. I thought I'd include that in the intro. But yeah, so good news, although I've got a headache, is that I've done my home COVID test and I've been found negative, so hopefully people are happy for me for that one, and I hope you're staying safe on that note wherever you are, and peace and love and all that. So anyway, cracking on with the list. Number 11, sorry for anyone who stumbled across these videos. I normally do these list videos where I break them up into 3 parts, so the videos aren't too long. Hopefully, I do try and keep them within about 10 minutes, or preferably even less. So please check out part 1 if you haven't done so, and hopefully this will make some sort of sense. But yeah, I would love for Asian nations to work together on inventions, for instance, things that prevent terrorism or that can cut back on crime, security systems, or things like that. But yeah, basically that inventions that make Asia better off, and also that sort of thing. And also look at the positive side, as I often say, for Asians to learn about neurodiversity such as dyslexia and ADHD, and also to learn things like redefining stereotypes or changing perceptions. I know we all have them, I'm sure. Most people have them, I'm sure. Probably everyone has them already. I know I have my own stereotypes about things in my head, including about Asians or other groups as well, to be honest. But some of them are negative, some of them are positive, like Asians are hardworking, good at business, and things like that. But yeah, that can be a negative or a positive, depending on how you look at it, I suppose. But anyway, I know they, like, negative stereotypes, they can be a bit serious. So yeah, maybe, although that can be a good thing or a bad thing, again, depending on how you look at it, the hardworking thing, maybe some people might say they work too hard and not as social. But again, I hope to redefine stereotypes, and for people from Asia to learn about disabilities generally, like physical, mental, or learning disabilities. For instance, just because someone is in a wheelchair, or blind, or deaf, or has other disabilities, physical disabilities, it doesn't mean they can't do other things, or that they don't have a brain. And just because someone has a mental disability, also, it doesn't mean they're not good at things as I say, there's a method to the madness. So mentally ill people can be creative. For instance, they could work on inventions and entrepreneurship and businesses in spite of their weaknesses. I'm sure around the world, many people with mental health problems as well as physical disabilities and certain learning disabilities set up their own businesses and things like that. So hopefully people in Asia will give them opportunities and treat people with disabilities better, as well as women. Again, as I mentioned in part one, I would love to change things about Asia, like human rights and all that. So I hope to talk about things I would love to change in Asia as well. Moving on, talking about keeping the video short as possible, but I do want to cover these points in depth, but as ever, I'd love to invite your question as well. Number 12, I hope for people from Asia to talk about what makes them proud to be Asian, not in an arrogant way, sorry, but in a way which makes them proud again, but not arrogant. And also, I hope to encourage mentorship across Asia. Again, I dream that Central Asia in the future will host events which bring in all Asian nations, all possible Asian nations, and maybe even people from the diaspora as well, to talk about how to benefit, excuse me, Asia as much as possible. And again, to look at like encouraging mentorship, teaching, training, and things like that in areas like business and STEM and other areas like architecture and whatever, and supporting their projects and things like that. Number 13, I also hope to be honest about some of the negative things I think about Asia. Like, for instance, to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of culture or tradition. I think that it's like living in the past, where in my opinion, we should be looking to the future. And also, I don't like having to respect my elders any more than anyone else. I think we should be more equal. So I think that's like an age discrimination, in my opinion. And also like the treatment of women and girls, and also the treatment of disabled people, animal rights issues, and things like that, I think are some things that could be improved in Asia. So I hope to talk about some of the things I think could be improved as well. And number 14, also, these are my own personal ideas, but hopefully people from across Asia, including Central Asia, will look at how it could benefit them and why it would be good to promote this. Obviously, they would be the ones who set up this union, perhaps. Hopefully, it'd be part of my legacy, but it would be great if my ideas were implemented, but also other people's ideas. They can include their own ideas and solving those problems, like, say, improving gender rights, women's rights, girls' rights, education, young people's rights, animal rights, and stuff like that, and tackling illnesses and diseases, climate change, and all sorts of things, like scientists to work together and stuff like that. Again, on different days, I hope to focus on different themes, as I mentioned in part one, for anyone who might have missed that video. Number 15, again, it would be great to hear from Asians' aspiration, including not just the nations themselves, as I mentioned in part one, but also add to that, like people from Asia, what sort of aspirations they would like how to tackle poverty, how to help their dreams, and how to help things like Asian YouTubers, Asian TikTokers, social media content creators from across Asia, especially, and things like that, and how people, again, from the diaspora could support Asia as much as possible. Number 16, on that note, I'd love to have like committees or think tanks and things like that to look at how to what are the best ways to benefit Asia, like what are the best methods to help Asia as much as possible to improve and to do well as much as possible. Number 17, I'd love to look into Asian inventions and creativity and ideas, imaginations, success stories, and strengths from Asians and like their creative projects and things like that, and support their businesses. Again, hope to cover that more in detail in the future, especially on certain days. But yeah, so I hope to look into ways to acknowledge and celebrate Asian success stories and imagination, and for people to encourage imagination and creativity. As I said, with dyslexia and ADHD, for instance, possibly even autism to an extent, and dyspraxia, and a condition I have. Though we might be weak academically, and I think a lot of Asian nations look at how well you are academically. You could probably argue that around the world, but especially in Asia, you have to be a really good student or an A-star student in Asian communities and Asian families. And I think it'd be great if they learned that people are not academic, who are not academic, sorry, just to be clear, can be good, as I say, in other areas like creating things, imagination. Dyslexic people have great imaginations and creativity. So I hope people from across Asia will learn about those things and have dyslexic and invite dyslexic and ADHD groups and organizations which look at the positive sides of dyslexia into Asia. Number 18, I also hope to talk about many positive things in Asia, including from its history as well, so positive and negative as well, but also like how Asians can work on positive affirmations to improve their nations, both economically and again in terms of human rights, libertarianism, as I mentioned, human rights generally, peace, love, and all those sorts of positive things. But yeah, sharing positive affirmations with each other and believing in each other and things like that could be other things they could work on. Number 19, I hope for Asian nations, China, India, Japan, Korea, and other nations, especially those, as I mentioned, those 4 nations. They're really good at tech. Excuse me. And I hope they'll work to benefit African nations. So, for instance, when they trade with Africa, African nations could ask for those nations such as China, India, as I mentioned before, like you could have the AIT, Indian Institute of Tech, helping people in Africa to make the African Institute of Tech. China could help to teach what they know about tech with Africans in return for trade deals. So improving relations through tech or STEM, generally science, tech, engineering, and maths. And also Korea and Japan, which Japan could teach Africans about game making, like the guy who made Nintendo, the guy who made Sony, also the people who made Sega, that's the word I was looking for, and those sorts of companies could talk about. One idea I had, for instance, was the game station, which could be like Africa's version of the PlayStation, which is obviously Japanese. So with the TICAD, which I've talked before about, which is Japan trading with Africa, could teach Africans across Africa, including those, as I say, with dyslexia and ADHD, how to make video games. Also, people with autism and other conditions as well, but just generally Africans as well. So I hope that will improve relations between Africa and Asia as well. Although Egypt is the main country, I hope to work on relations between Africa and Asia. But yeah, the Central Asian thing, I hope to mainly work between Asian nations specifically. But this particular idea in tech and STEM generally, I hope to work between Africa and Asia, because I hope to help Africa to catch up with other, or even get ahead of other countries or other continents, sorry, in terms of tech. Moving on, number 20, I also hope to look into what the older people can teach the youth, and again, what Africa can teach, what Asia can teach Africa in terms of STEM, and also like what they can learn from each other and how they can improve relations. And sorry if this video went on a bit long, and again, I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I'm out. Peace and love.